Your emotions are not the problem. Losing control of them is, and that battle is won or lost before your day even begins. Most people live at the mercy of their feelings. A rude comment ruins their mood. A small setback spirals into a bad day. They react to everything, get pulled in every direction, and end each evening exhausted by emotions they never chose to feel. It's not that they're weak. It's that no one ever taught them how the mind actually works, or that emotional control is a skill you can build. The Stoics were masters of exactly this, not by suppressing their emotions, but by understanding them, and by preparing their minds each morning so that nothing could hijack them. They knew that a mind prepared at dawn is a mind that stays steady all day. In the next 20 minutes, I'll give you 10 morning habits, drawn from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, that will teach you to control your emotions like a Stoic, so you stop being ruled by them and start ruling yourself. Let's begin. Here's what the Stoics understood that changes everything. Emotional control isn't something you summon in the heat of the moment. It's something you build beforehand, quietly, in the calm of the morning. By the time you're already angry, already anxious, already spiraling, it's too late. The emotion has you. The Stoics knew this, so they did their work early. Marcus Aurelius prepared his mind at dawn for everything the day might throw at him. They shaped their inner state before the world could shape it for them, and because they did the preparation in the calm, they had the steadiness when the storm came. That's the entire principle behind these 10 habits. None of them is a trick to use mid-meltdown. Each one is a morning practice that builds the calm, prepared mind that simply doesn't melt down in the first place. Let's start with the one that takes away your emotions' greatest weapon. The first habit disarms your emotions before the day begins. Each morning, calmly imagine what could go wrong. Seneca advised picturing the difficulties ahead, the delays, the rude people, the setbacks, not to feel bad, but to rob them of their power to shock you. Emotions hit hardest when we're caught off guard. The anger and anxiety come from expecting a smooth day and being surprised by a hard one. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings reminding himself he would meet difficult, ungrateful people that day, so that when he did, he met them with calm instead of shock. This works because surprise is what makes an emotion explode. When you've already imagined the traffic, the criticism, the problem, and pictured yourself meeting it calmly, the real thing loses its sting. You're not ambushed because a part of you already saw it coming and already chose your response. So each morning, take a minute to anticipate the day's likely difficulties and picture yourself handling each one with composure. It's not pessimism, it's preparation. You'll be amazed how much calmer you stay when nothing catches you off guard. And the next habit removes the deepest source of your emotional turmoil. The second habit cuts your emotional suffering at its root. Each morning, remind yourself what is and isn't in your control. Epictetus taught that almost all emotional distress comes from one confusion: trying to control what we can't. You get anxious about outcomes, angry at other people's behavior, frustrated by circumstances, all things outside your power. Your actions, your effort, your responses are yours. Everything else was never yours to command. And the moment you forget this, your emotions latch onto the uncontrollable and torment you. When you begin each day by drawing this line clearly, you diffuse most of your emotional reactions before they start. You stop taking other people's moods personally because their behavior isn't yours to control. You stop drowning in anxiety about results because you can only control the effort. The emotion loses its grip the instant you remember it's aimed at something you were never going to control anyway. So each morning, ask, what today is actually in my control and what isn't? Commit to your effort and release the rest. Carry that line with you all day. When an emotion rises, check which side of the line it's on. And if it's the uncontrollable side, let it go. And the next habit brings your emotions into the light. The third habit gives you power over feelings you can't even see. Each morning, write down what you're feeling and why. An unexamined emotion runs you from the shadows. You feel anxious, but can't say why, irritable without knowing the cause, and so it controls you invisibly. The Stoics were great journalers. Marcus Aurelius' most famous work was literally his private morning notes to himself. Writing down your inner state drags it into the light where you can actually look at it, and what you can see clearly you can manage. There's a strange power in naming an emotion. The moment you write, "I feel anxious about this meeting," the feeling shrinks from a vague, overwhelming cloud into a specific, manageable thing. You create a small space between yourself and the emotion. You become the observer of it rather than the prisoner of it. And from that observer's seat, you can choose your response instead of being swept away. So each morning, take a few minutes to write down what you're feeling and what's driving it. Don't judge it. Just name it, examine it, and understand it. That simple act of awareness will loosen your emotions' grip more than you'd believe. And the next habit starves the emotions that feed on lack. The fourth habit quietly dissolves your most corrosive emotions. Begin each morning with genuine gratitude. So many negative emotions, envy, resentment, frustration, that low simmer of dissatisfaction, grow from a mind fixated on what it lacks. The Stoics countered this by deliberately turning their attention to what they already had. Marcus Aurelius opened his days by appreciating the good around him, the people in his life, the simple fact of being alive. A mind full of gratitude has no room left for resentment. This works because gratitude and grievance cannot occupy the same mind at once. When you actively appreciate what you have, you crowd out the envy and dissatisfaction that drive so much emotional turmoil. You stop comparing, stop grasping, stop feeling cheated, and a calm contentment takes their place. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about refusing to let your mind live only in what's missing. So each morning, name a few things you're genuinely grateful for and feel it. Don't just list it. Start the day full instead of lacking. That fullness is a shield against a whole family of negative emotions. And the next habit prepares you for the moment someone tries to provoke you. The fifth habit decides your reactions before the moment arrives. Each morning, choose in advance how you'll respond when provoked. Most people plan what they'll do today, but never how they'll respond when things go wrong. So when someone is rude, when a plan collapses, when they're criticized, they react on pure impulse, and the impulse is rarely wise. The Stoics understood that you can decide your response ahead of time. Epictetus taught that it's not events that disturb us, but our reactions, and reactions can be chosen in advance, in the calm, before the pressure hits. When you rehearse your response each morning, deciding, if someone disrespects me, I'll stay calm and unbothered. If a setback comes, I'll pause before reacting. You're loading the calm response into your mind before you need it. Then, in the heat of the moment, instead of reaching for anger, you reach for the response you already chose. You've made the wise reaction the automatic one. So each morning, picture the provocations you might face and decide now how the best version of you would respond. Rehearse the calm, so it's ready when the storm comes. And the next habit builds the pause where that choice lives. The sixth habit trains the single most important skill in emotional control, the pause between feeling and reacting. Every emotional mistake happens in the gap between the trigger and the reaction, a gap that for most people barely exists. The insult lands and the anger is instant. The bad news arrives and the panic is immediate. The Stoics cultivated the ability to feel the first surge of emotion and not be swept away by it. And that ability is built in stillness, in the quiet practice of sitting with your own mind and breath. When you spend a few minutes each morning simply sitting and breathing slowly, you train your nervous system to settle, and you widen that crucial gap between stimulus and response. You practice, in the calm, the exact skill you need in the storm, feeling something and not immediately obeying it. Over time, that pause grows, and in that pause lives all of your emotional freedom, because it's where you choose instead of react. So each morning, sit quietly and breathe slowly for a few minutes. Feel your mind settle. You're not just relaxing. You're training the pause that will save you 100 times today. And the next habit gives that calm mind perspective. The seventh habit shrinks your emotional triggers down to their true size. Each morning, zoom out and see the bigger picture. So much of our emotional turmoil comes from things feeling far bigger than they are. A small conflict consumes us. A minor problem feels like a catastrophe. Marcus Aurelius practiced what's often called the view from above, imagining himself rising high above his life. seeing how small his worries looked from a distance, how brief his moment in time really was. From up there, the things that felt enormous shrank back to their real proportions. This is powerful for emotional control because most overreactions come from a lost sense of scale. When you begin your day by placing your problems in the larger context of your whole life, of the vast world, of the shortness of time, the small irritations lose their power to consume you. You stop treating a bad email like an emergency because you can see it for the tiny thing it actually is. So each morning, take a moment to rise above your own life and look down, see your worries in proportion, carry that perspective into the day. And when something small tries to hijack your emotions, zoom out again, and the next habit toughens you against stress itself. The 8th habit builds the tolerance that keeps emotions from spiking. Start your morning with deliberate discomfort. Emotional overreactions often come from a low tolerance for discomfort. The moment something feels bad, the emotion floods in. The Stoics deliberately practiced hardship to build their resilience. Seneca sought out discomfort so that it would lose its power over him. A cold shower, a hard task, a few minutes in something you'd rather avoid. This trains your nervous system to stay calm when things feel unpleasant, first thing, every day. This matters because a person who can sit with discomfort doesn't panic when life gets uncomfortable. While others flinch and react emotionally at the first sign of stress, you've already faced something hard this morning and stayed steady. You've raised your threshold, and though the small stresses that would spike other people's emotions barely move yours. Voluntary discomfort in the morning is emotional armor for the rest of the day. So each morning, do one thing that's deliberately uncomfortable and stay calm through it. End your shower cold. Face the hard task first. Each time, you teach your nervous system that discomfort is survivable, and that steadiness will hold when real stress arrives. And the next habit primes your whole mind for calm. The 9th habit sets the emotional tone of your day. Fill your mind with wisdom before you fill it with noise. What you put into your mind first shapes how it runs all day. Most people pour in chaos immediately. The news, the notifications, the outrage, other people's anxiety, and then wonder why they feel agitated. The Stoics did the opposite. They read and reflected on calming, grounding ideas each morning, priming their minds toward steadiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote his reflections partly to keep feeding himself the right thoughts. This works because the mind takes on the character of what you feed it. Start the day with agitation and you'll be reactive and on edge. Start it with calm, grounding wisdom. A few pages of Stoic philosophy, a reflection, something that centers you, and you set your emotional baseline to steady before the world can rattle it. You're deciding the tone of your inner state instead of letting the internet decide it for you. So each morning, before the noise gets in, feed your mind something calm and grounding. A few minutes of Stoic reading or reflection. Set your own emotional weather before the world sets it for you. And the final habit gives all of this its depth. The 10th habit dissolves your pettiest emotions instantly. Each morning, remember that your time is limited. So many of our emotional reactions are small. A grudge, an offense, a petty frustration we cling to for hours. The Stoics kept death in view, memento mori, not to be morbid, but to burn away the trivial. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each day that life was short and could end at any moment. And that perspective made most of what upsets people simply not worth the emotional cost. This is the deepest cure for reactivity, because nothing shrinks a petty emotion like remembering how little time you have. When you truly grasp that your days are numbered, the insult isn't worth the anger, the small annoyance isn't worth the stress, the grudge isn't worth the hours it steals. You stop wasting your limited precious life on emotions that don't deserve it, and you save your energy for what actually matters. So each morning remember, this day is borrowed, and your time is running out. Let that dissolve the small emotional reactions that would otherwise eat your day. When something petty tries to upset you, ask, is this worth the little time I have? Almost never. And that question, asked daily, will keep you calm about the things that used to control you. 10 morning habits. 1 outcome, a mind that rules its emotions instead of being ruled by them. Prepare for adversity. Separate what you control from what you don't. Name your emotions on paper. Practice gratitude. Rehearse your responses. Sit, breathe, and build the pause. Take the view from above. Do something uncomfortable on purpose. Feed your mind calm before the world feeds it chaos, and remember your mortality. Notice that not one of these is about suppressing what you feel. The Stoics never told you to become cold or emotionless. They told you to become the master of your emotions instead of their servant. Every one of these habits does the work in the calm of the morning, so that when the day brings its provocations, you meet them from a place of steadiness you built before the sun was fully up. You don't need all 10 tomorrow. Pick one. Practice it each morning until it becomes part of you. Then add another. Slowly, the things that used to hijack your entire day will barely move you, because you'll have built, one morning at a time, the calm, prepared mind of a Stoic. Your emotions were never the enemy. Losing control of them was. Take that control back one morning at a time. If this resonated, subscribe, and come back next time, when we look at how the Stoics stayed calm when everything fell apart. Until then, master the morning and master yourself.